Hey there, class. This is Sister Bone. This is my call to action video for you as you've just done your analysis essay and you're jumping into your synthesis essay. I think that the reason that some of you are concerned about the synthesis essay is that you're thinking that you need to do an analysis like we just did. I mean, you're thinking you need to do a rhetorical analysis that really digs into the logos, ethos, pathos of your other piece, of the pieces. You don't need to do that. Let's go ahead and just look at the synthesis directions quickly. I mean, you've got this quote about putting things together, seeing relationships, and then you've got the requirements, 1,500 words, APA style, etc., etc., etc. Okay, but look at what you really are going to be doing. You're going to have an introduction that hooks your reader. And it's going to culminate in a thesis statement that maps out your main analytical and synthesis points. So check out how this student did that. No, that's not the one I want. This student. Okay. It's underlined here. You can tell that the student spent time reading through these essays and really understanding them, and then came up with his own idea of what he really wanted to say, the message of his paper. So while Weinberger focuses on the community and Nibley focuses on the individual, both men insist pursuing and acquiring knowledge is important, and in pondering their approaches, three principles emerge around finding truth. There's a difference between knowledge and information. Knowledge comes with time and effort, and one must be able to trust the source. How awesome. So you can tell that the student who did this spent a long time with these pieces and has a strong thesis. So let's look at what you'd be required to do. So I really think you should just stick with this first format. I just think it's easier to do. You can do either the format A or format B, but I just think this one's the frameworks. This one just makes more sense to me, but you can do either one, but this just makes sense. I mean, so you hook your reader. You give a brief summary of what both essays are about. You've got one page to do that introduction. I don't mind if you do it in several paragraphs. Just hook that reader and then just be like, this piece that was talking about this and this piece that was talking about this. If I pose this question, here's what the authors would say, after looking through this, and seeing what these readers say, I come up with these conclusions, this, and this, or whatever. You know what I mean? So your analytical section isn't a rhetorical analysis, just talking about he had really strong ethos. See how he demonstrates this really strong ethos. Really, you can be answering the question. How does text A answer the question? Well, text A says, that we should pursue knowledge because of this and this and this and this and this. This is what this essay has to say, and then you can switch over to the analysis of the other essay. Well, but whereas this essay focuses more on this aspect. If it's Tanner, she wants you to memorize, but she says that you should be doing that kind of learning because of this, 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 and this. So you get to spend about half of your paper answering the question in the analysis section, and then you jump into your synthesis and say, while this author says this and this other author says this, you can see looking at both that this is important, and this is important, X, Y, and Z. And you just spend your time there. It's about 1/3 of your paper. It's like the finale, saying, wow, after looking at these two different articles and what they have to say, here's what I found, and then you wrap it up with this strong conclusion. So I had one other place to show you. Again, it's this framework. I think the problem that a lot of people are feeling is just that the analysis is sort of disjointed. It doesn't need to be. It's here's what this author has to say, and here's what this author has to say, and really here's what we're learning is that this matters, and this matters. All done. So anyway, so I would encourage framework 1 because I think it's simpler, but you can do either way. And then make sure that you're really working to honor formatting. That's sort of my call to action part from the previous essay. Make sure that you're honoring all the APA formatting. The lesson right now that we're doing, lesson 20, has that whole APA, 2 pages of APA formatting guidelines. Anything that doesn't make sense to you, you can go to the Purdue OWL APA formatting website and see how it's literally done. You can see samples of how to do things, but it's a really good 2-page comprehensive APA formatting list. Note the running head with the header, the title. It's actually supposed to be like Sally E. Student. That strong abstract without the indent, and then you go into the name of the piece. You've got the thesis, and just so you know, I'm going to make another video just of feedback on this essay, so you can see how I would score it. But for right now, your call to action is just get to understand those assignment guidelines, and then hit really hard answering your question in your analysis, and then coming up with deeper, cooler meaning, in your synthesis. You can do this. Way to go. Good luck.